Hey, have you seen the latest earnings report for Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL? It looks like they've had a pretty interesting quarter.
Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to dive into that. HAL, right? The defense giant. What's the buzz? I mean, were there any surprises?
Well, a couple of things stood out. First off, they declared an interim dividend. That's always good news for investors.
Nice. Always a plus. So, what's the dividend looking like? And when do we need to own the stock to get a piece of that?
Well, okay, so the board declared a first interim dividend of rupees 25 per equity share. And to be eligible, you had to be a shareholder by the record date, which is February 18th, 2025. They're planning to pay it out on or before March 14, 2025.
Got it. February 18th record date and payment by March 14th, 2025. That's good to know. So, putting the dividends aside, how did they perform financially?
Well, their standalone revenue from operations for the quarter ended December 31st, 2024 was about 6956.93 crores.
Okay, that sounds like a big number, but how does that compare to like previous periods? Was that good, bad, or just meh?
Compared to the previous quarter, which was 5,976.55 crores, and the same quarter last year, which was 6,060.91 crores, it's definitely an increase. The total income also increased, which is always a good sign.
Right, upward trajectory is what we like to see. Any one off events that skewed the numbers, or is it all organic growth?
There was an exceptional item. They received 5.89 crores as compensation for land acquired by the Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation. That's a little boost, but overall the growth seems pretty solid.
Bangalore's metro construction, always something going on there. So, how about expenses? Did they manage to keep costs in check?
Expenses did increase mainly due to the cost of materials consumed, which went up to 3,180.27 crores. Employee benefits also remained high, around 1,293.03 crores.
Employee costs are always a big factor, especially for a company with a lot of skilled labor. Anything else on the expense side that caught your eye?
Actually, there's a note about a revision of pay scales for executives and workmen effective from 2017. It seems they had to reduce salaries and wages to recover excess amounts paid, which led to some legal issues with the employees union and officers association.
Oh, that sounds messy. So they're basically trying to claw back some compensation and the employees are fighting it?
Exactly. The High Court gave a verdict in favor of the officers association, but the management is considering further action. They've made provisions for the excess amount paid, which is a pretty significant sum.
Wow, that could definitely impact employee morale and potentially future performance. It's like adapting a recipe when you realize you've been adding too much sugar all along.
Precisely. Getting back to the numbers, their net profit for the period was 1,432.60 crores, which is pretty good. But there are a few other things to consider.
Such as, lay it on me.
Well, the auditors included a few emphasis of matter paragraphs in their report. It's worth noting that the company doesn't have the requisite number of independent directors to form an audit committee.
That sounds like a compliance issue. Is that a big deal?
It is. They're not complying with SEBI regulations and the Companies Act regarding the composition of their board of directors. The auditors pointed this out, but it didn't modify their opinion on the financial results.
Right. So the numbers are okay, but there are some governance concerns. That's something investors should definitely be aware of.
Absolutely. Also, there were some issues raised by the CNAG regarding excess payments made to executives in the past, which the board has now waived the recovery of.
Okay, so they're clearing up some old issues. What about their investments? Any notable capital expenditures or strategic moves?
They've been investing in several defense testing foundations, electronic warfare, communication, UAS, and advanced materials. These are incorporated as Section 8 companies under the Companies Act.
Interesting. So they're expanding their testing capabilities and investing in R&D. That sounds like a forward-looking strategy. We should probably mention, disclaimer, we advise investors to check with certified experts before taking any investment decisions.
Good point. And on the consolidated side, the results are quite similar to the standalone. Revenue from operations is slightly higher, but the overall trends are consistent.
So the subsidiaries and joint ventures are contributing, but not drastically changing the picture?
Correct. However, there are a few joint ventures with going concern issues like Hutsoft Helicopter Training Private Limited and Halbit Avionics Private LDTD, which have net liabilities and uncertainties about their ability to continue as a going concern.
That's a bit concerning. Are those ventures dragging down the overall performance?
Not significantly, but it's something to keep an eye on. Also, Multi-Role Transport Aircraft Limited is undergoing voluntary liquidation. So that's another factor to consider.
So a mixed bag then. Strong core performance, but some challenges in the subsidiaries and compliance areas. What's your overall take?
HAL seems to be on a steady growth path, driven by strong revenue from operations. The interim dividend is a nice bonus for investors. However, the governance issues and the problems in some joint ventures are potential risks that need to be monitored.
Right, it's like they're building a really impressive airplane, but there are a few loose screws that need tightening. So what's the outlook? Do you think they can sustain this performance?
But given the strong order book and the focus on defense production, I think they have the potential to continue growing. But they need to address the compliance issues and resolve the problems in their joint ventures to ensure long-term stability.
Okay, so keep an eye on the skies, but also watch out for those loose screws. Anything else we should highlight?
Just a reminder about the dividend. Remember, the record date was February 18th, 2025, and the payment will be made by March 14th, 2025. It's a good time for our listeners to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if they found this analysis helpful.
Definitely, and thanks for breaking down all those numbers for us. It's always good to have a clear picture before making any investment decisions.
Absolutely. It's all about being informed and making smart choices.